a warm welcome to Dr. Shawn Royer.
All right, thank you all for being here. So I'm assuming everybody is here because you want to learn how to improvise jazz. Is that? Yeah? All right, cool. Well, what I'm going to teach you today is one part of jazz. There's a lot that goes into learning how to improvise jazz. One of the most important things you'll ever have to do if you want to learn jazz is listen to jazz. Anybody listen to jazz? Okay, that's a really good starting point for you. So make sure you go find some jazz and listen to it. I can only teach you so much. You learn the rest of it from listening, okay? But today, I'm going to teach you how to process navigating chord changes. So, how many of you have been in jazz band or are currently in a jazz band? All right, have you ever gotten some music, and on the music, it has just letter names with numbers? Like, you have regular music notes, but then, like, maybe in the middle of it, for the solo, it might have letters with numbers. Have you ever seen that in your music? Some of you have? Okay, all right. And they might have a solo written under it that you can play if you want to, but the reason the letters and numbers are there is because you have an option to improvise. Those letters and numbers are telling you what the piano player or guitar player is playing. By letting you know that, then you know what you can play to sound good over it. Does that make sense? I can't teach you every single thing about the letters and numbers today, but what I can teach you is a really good starting point and teach you how to navigate as those measures are moving, okay? That's what we're going to do today. This PowerPoint is actually pretty cool. I got an email from a random person in another country one day who said they found an article I wrote about this and put together this PowerPoint, and they were like, I hope you like it. Is this okay? And I looked at it and I was like, this is actually awesome. Can I use it? And they were like, yeah. So I added a little bit to it. So I can't take full credit for the outstanding graphics in this. Very nice. The process I'm going to take you through is a step-by-step process. We're going to do the first 10 steps today, and we're going to do them together, okay? Any level. How many of you just started playing your instrument this year? Okay. How many of you have been playing for at least a whole year? At least 2 years? At least 3 years? Okay. At least 4 years? At least 5 years? All right. Okay. You win. You win. You get a free read today. All right, good, good. So most of you have been playing at least for 1 or 2 years. That's good. So you probably know a good amount of notes on your instrument. The first thing I'm going to tell you is as we go through this today, there are no wrong notes, okay? There are some notes that will create more tension, and there are some notes that will feel more like a resolution. You'll figure out what those notes are as we go, but no wrong notes. Has anybody started learning improvisation at school and somebody gave them a scale to use? Like maybe a blues scale or something. That's totally fine. Keep that in your bag of tricks. But today, you don't have to use any specific scale, okay? Just follow the process I'm going to show you, and if you want to use a scale, go for it. If you don't want to use a scale, that's fine too, okay? Okay. Here's the first thing. Take a look at your handout. And it says C instruments, B flat instruments, E flat instruments, and F instruments. So tenor saxes and clarinets, you guys are the B flat instruments, and alto saxes and bari saxes, you're the E flat instruments. Anybody else? Okay. Those are the notes you're going to play. The letters are all we're concerned with right now. Don't worry about the sevens, just the letters. Right now, anywhere that you see a letter, you're going to play that note, okay? I'll start here on clarinet. 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3. Just a quarter note, just a quarter note. 1, 2, a quarter, 2, 3. Rest, 3, 4. 3, 4. Same note. Next line. on. We got off. Don't forget the repeated measure with the percentage sign. Okay? Let's start on the second line. Your second line. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 3, 4. 3, 4. Again. Next line. 3, 4. 3. Don't forget the repeated. Yeah. Very nice. Did you do okay on that? Let's do that again just to make sure everybody has it. This time we'll try it with the track. Don't look at the screen though. The screen's lying to you. With the track. 2, 3. Second line. Third line. There we go. Now, when you're actually improvising, you don't have to repeat exactly the same thing you did in the previous measure. It's just telling you that your rhythm section, meaning your piano player and your keyboard player, your mallet player, your guitar player, they're playing the same chord, okay? All right. You feel okay about that? Give me a thumbs up. You got all the notes? Cool. Every step's going to get just a little bit more challenging. So if that was too easy, don't worry, it's getting harder. Step 2, you're going to do exactly the same thing you just did, except now you're going to fill in the blanks on beats 2, 3, and 4 instead of resting. There's really no rules when you fill in the blanks, but I'm going to give you one piece of advice. Don't get too creative, okay? If you get too creative, you'll forget the most important thing, which is playing that note that you just practiced every time the chord changes, okay? Any questions? Let me demonstrate how this is going to sound. See if you can hear those notes. Matter of fact, I'll demonstrate it. You play what you just played with me. So we should be in unison on those beats. Okay? Okay? Did you stay with me? Good. You want to try it with me? Did you hear me playing any blues scales or anything like that? Probably not. I'm just playing random notes on beats 2, 3, and 4. Focusing on the most important thing, playing that note you just practiced on beat 1. Here we go. Let's do it together. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3. Anybody get lost? Nobody got lost in the chord changes? Ooh, this is good. This is good. Okay. Let's do the next step. Next step, step 3. Same thing you just did, except you only have to play the root now when the chord changes. Okay? So on those measures that had a percentage sign, you don't have to play the root anymore on beat 1. Let's play through these chord changes just like we did on step 1, but we're going to rest where there's a percentage sign just to make sure we all know where that is, okay? Let's try it together.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Rest. Good, good, good. go. Good, 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 good. So now let's go on to the next step here, where we're going to do exactly what you just did, but we're going to improvise on beats 2, 3, and 4. Just fill in the blanks with random notes. We're also going to improvise in that whole measure that has the percentage sign. That's a lot of notes to improvise on, so don't forget where you're at so that you nail the next chord change. Here we go. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3. Good. You do okay? I mean, you guys are all starting and stopping with me, and I'm listening for you all to be on unison in those notes, and you are. So this is a great thing. This is a great thing. Let's move on. You guys need more challenge, obviously. Step 4. Play the root when the chord changes, but now, on beat 4, right before each chord change, you're going to play the note that's a half step above the note you're about to go to. I think you guys have it. Let's try it. With the rests in between, just to make sure we're all playing the same notes here. Just start on beat 1.
1, 2, 3.
Good. Good. Here comes the last line. Now fill in the blanks. A 1, 2. How'd you do? Do okay? Thumbs up if you did okay. Thumb sideways if you're like, I think I'm not really sure. All right, you want to do it again? Let's do it again. Here's the cool thing. Nobody can hear you. They're all worried about what they're playing. Nobody's judging you. Here we go. A 1, 2, Did you do better that time? Maybe? A little bit? Give me a thumbs up if you did a little bit better. Okay, you want to do that one more time? Let's do it. One more time. Here we go. Okay? Better that time? Yeah? Okay, good, 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 good. The next step is you're going to do the same exact thing you just did, but instead of playing a half step above the note you're about to go to, that's right, half step below, half step below. All right, let's see if we've got these notes. Just play those notes with the rest in between. Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
There you go. Yep, here comes the last line. All right, right, I'm going to improvise in between. You keep playing that. Together. Step 10. This is the last step we're going to do today. Step 10. Everything you've been doing, but now it's all eighth notes. All eighth notes. So we're going to play that half step above or half step below right there on the last eighth note of the measure. It's a lot of eighth notes. If you need to stop and breathe, feel free to take a breath. Otherwise, it's a lot of eighth notes. Do you need to hear a demonstration, or you think you can do this? Raise your hand if you need a demonstration. Raise your hand if you think you can do this. Okay, all right, let's do it. This is good times. We'll do it together. Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
How'd you do? Yeah? You do okay? You want to do it again? Okay. Feel where we are? 4, 3, 2. Play loud and proud this time. 2, 3. You okay? Yeah? All right, so I realize that step 10 is pretty hard. Actually, I think step 9 is harder because it's quarter notes and eighth notes together. You know, I think that's a little harder, actually. But it's a lot of notes, especially if some of these notes are new to you. So try not to be discouraged, but it seemed to me like you guys were really keeping up and doing okay on this. This right here, I just want to make sure I'm clear with everybody about what this is, okay? What we are doing right now is teaching your brain how to navigate moving chord changes. Because the trick is to think about where you're going, not what you're going to play on the blank space. The trick is to remember where you're going and to focus on how you're going to get there. And these little improvisation games that I've come up with here are literally to train your brain to do that. And you can do this with the chord changes to any song that you're learning in class, in your jazz band, or anything you're learning on your own. This applies, this process. Now, are you always going to want to land on the root every time the chord changes in real life? No. But you'll probably want to land on a chord tone, okay? If we had a lot more time to talk about this, I would teach you how to understand what all those letters and numbers mean and figure out what all the chord tones are. The most important ones for me are the root, the third, and the seventh of each chord. So if you get a little help telling you what those notes are, maybe from your teacher, understand that this process, you would think about the chords the same way, except land on a root, a third, maybe a fifth, or a seventh every time the chord changes. Then you sound like you're playing the changes. Have you ever heard anybody say that, playing the changes? It makes it sound like you know where you're at in the chord changes. It makes it sound like you know what you're doing. And it's the thing that makes people, when they're listening to your solo, go, oh, yeah, it sounds like that person's playing the right notes. It doesn't really matter what scales you play. It matters what notes you play when the chord changes. Does that make sense? Now, I could do a demonstration for you and show you what I mean by that by playing a bunch of notes that don't fit into those scales that you may have learned, like your blues scales and maybe even your Mixolydian scales or your major scales, just a bunch of random notes, and it's still going to sound like I know what I'm doing because I play the chord tones when the chords change. Do you want to hear that, or are you good? Okay, here we go. This will be fun. This will be a little a la Thelonious Monk. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. No blues scales, no major scales or Mixolydian modes.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Did it sound like I knew what I was doing? Did you hear notes that had more tension? In jazz, sometimes we say those notes are playing out. They sound out. But I'm going to tell you right now, those out notes are what make things interesting. That's what makes it sound cool, oftentimes. You want to create some tension. But as long as you know where you're at and you come back to home base, then they're like, okay, that was cool. That make sense? Okay, well, if anybody has questions afterwards, I'll stick around for a couple minutes. If you ever want to find me, email me, or talk to me, I'm Dr. Shawn Royer. I teach at Marian University. You can find my email on the website, or we can give it to you before you leave here. But I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have today or later on. And thank you all very much for being here today. Thank you.